Welcome to the latest episode of the Rank 'Em Podcast. Appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. I'm Garrett Seawright. You can find me on Twitter at Garrett Seawright. I'm joined as always with my co-host, John Garwood.
Hi.
Don is in his laboratory.
You called it a dungeon when we first turned on the cameras today.
Well, I guess I was trying to make you...
A little less creepy.
Yeah, I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt there, make you sound a little more highfalutin than you are.
I'm in my studio.
Laboratory is like a step up from studio, I'm pretty sure.
Oh. Well, we shouldn't get people's hopes up that high.
You went from dungeon to laboratory, and you made a pit stop, unnecessary pit stop at studio. So Don is in his rape dungeon, and
yeah. Hey, and you've missed us.
It's been a hot minute. Things happen. Life.
I went to Germany.
Don flew across the globe, or halfway across the globe.
Yeah, I went 6 hours into the future.
How was that?
I'll tell you what. So we went to Oktoberfest, and it was a lot of fun. So Oktoberfest started Saturday, September 15th. We flew out Wednesday, September 14th. So we flew out 3 days early. It was almost a full day of flying. Like, I got picked up at 4:30 in the morning. Our first flight was at like 4:30. I think our first flight was at like 8:30, and then we had like a 6-hour layover, and then we had a 9-hour flight. When we got to Munich, it was 8 a.m. their time. It was actually a little bit later than that when we got to our hotel. It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock their time, which makes it about 3 a.m. Ohio Standard Time. Which
of course is what the world runs on.
Right. So we didn't go to sleep. We kind of showered, got like the grime from flying and all that stuff off of us, and we went out and started walking around. We stayed up like that whole day, went to bed at like maybe 8 or 9 o'clock, which, that's 3 p.m. back here, but going to bed at that time on that first day set us up for success the rest of the week. We were there for about 5 days.
Is success the word?
Set us up for not misery.
All right.
Because you go to bed then, and then your schedule's screwed the rest of the time you're there. If you don't suffer that first day, and you need to be up for essentially 36 hours straight because you don't sleep on those 8-hour flights. At least I did. It was super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, Germany was a lot of fun. Came back. I didn't have COVID, but I had a cold. Not a big deal. But then I got a sinus infection after that, and then an ear infection after that. So I've been sick almost the entire time that I've been back from Germany.
That's good work by you.
And then Garrett has been doing a little bit of extra working, some travel working.
Yeah, I had to go to New York City for work, which... I guess I didn't realize that New York City smells like bad weed all the time, everywhere.
Which smells like piss.
Yeah, no, it's it's bad piss, and then like the faintest smell of rotten fish at all times, and then like every once in a while, fantastic Chinese food.
Okay,
there's a reason they don't make that candle. There's a reason they don't make faint piss and Chinese food candle. That's just
did you get some New York pizza?
I did. We went twice. I guess one time I got the 99-cent a slice pizza, which is better than any pizza in a 2-hour, 3-hour radius of where I'm sitting right now for not 99 cents a slice, for significantly more than 99 cents a slice. So that was nice. I don't know that I ever need to go back. I saw all I needed to see in one neighborhood of one borough of the city.
Yeah. Um,
When it took an hour and 45 minutes to get from our hotel to the airport,
Yeah.
which was 6 miles away, I was like, no,
Yep. LaGuardia,
yes, sir.
absolutely awful.
See, their security though. I got to the airport like an hour before my flight was supposed to leave, and I'm freaking out. And I was through security in, I think 7 minutes,
Nice.
which is a mixed bag. One, I got through, but also, if somebody was keistering
Right.
some explosives, they got right through too.
Yeah, somebody who's with less than noble intentions.
Yeah,
So a lot of people say that it's the water in New York pizza
I heard that. I don't know what that's about, but
that makes the crusts different. But yeah, New York pizza is different in a good way.
You have to have a certain level of rat piss in your water to make your pizza good. It's just where I'll draw the line there.
I think it's just the amount of douchebag that you have making it. East Coast people are different.
Oh yeah, no,
in a bad way, different.
I was just about to say, different is not like I tell people, different is not bad. In this case, they're different, and it's bad.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we've been up to the last month essentially, month and some change. So I think that our last podcast actually came out like the day after I got back from Germany.
Probably. I think it was
yeah,
September 22nd.
Yeah, so we've been busy. It's the 24th today. This will probably come out the 27th.
Yeah.
And if you want to watch a VOD of a live recording, we didn't say this yet, but I am live on twitch.tv/Donnie_G.
That's a lot of keystrokes.
Yeah. You can find a not a twit longer, a URL short, a bit.ly link for it. Anyway,
that's great work by you.
Did you know what we're ranking today, Garrett?
Because
I don't think the audience at home does.
Well, not on Twitch, but those that are reading or not reading. Are you fucking idiot? They're listening.
Yeah, they read the title. That's how they know.
They read the title, unless they don't speak English, in which case we'll let you know.
Hey, if you don't speak it
and
read it, what the hell are you doing?
You made it 8 minutes into this, and you can't understand what we're saying anyway. So we're going to rank our favorite stand-up comedians, which I imagine is just going to turn into roughly an hour of us telling
jokes,
poorly translated jokes, poorly repeated jokes of our favorite comedians, and then laughing mildly.
And then saying stuff like, I'm not allowed to say this word, but he says it.
But here we go. So
our top 5 stand-up comedians as of today. It could change. It would have been different a year ago.
Would it?
But you know what? Yeah, mine's changed from what it would have been a year ago.
You were pretty adamant about that pretty quick.
I've got a new edition.
Okay.
So,
looking forward to hearing that.
So it's my number 5. I'll go ahead and start us off here.
Sounds great.
My number 5 may shock you that he's so low. I've got Bert Kreischer at 5. I forgot that we had cameras, so I didn't look to your face to see what your reaction was.
So, I don't have Bert on my list.
Okay.
I like Bert a lot.
Yeah, he's the only stand-up comedian, one of only 2 that I've ever gone to see live.
Oh, now I've got to think about that. I don't. Yeah, Bert. I've seen Bert live, and I like Bert a lot, but I like Bert more than I like Bert the stand-up comedian, I guess.
Yeah. So the reason I've got him on here is kind of this was a last-minute addition to my list, where I dropped somebody off because it was kind of a "what have you done for me lately" type thing, where I was like, have I seen all 6 of this person's stand-up things on Netflix? Yes, I have. Did the last one come out in 2014? Yes, it did. So, I mean, all of Bert's have come out since 2014. So he's more topical, I guess, than someone who will be listed in my honorable mention.
Like,
But
I like Bert, the podcast host, is better than Bert the comedian. Like Bert with Two Bears, One Cave with Tom Segura is spectacular. Or Bert the podcast guest, where like that dude's just laughing just to laugh. Like he's just enjoying himself at all times, and I envy that. His stand-up is pretty good, but just the amount of like TikToks. I saw TikTok the other day where he was talking about how before he was like super famous, he was friends with Daniel Tosh, and they were going to go play poker, and he was like, "Hey," Bert was like to his wife, "Hey, I need $100," and she's like, "We don't have $100," and he's like, I just need $100." She's like, "We don't have $100 in our bank account," and Daniel Tosh was like,
I'll give you $100 just to end this conversation.
I am so awkward. It feels so awkward right now. I will give you $100 to stop talking about this in front of me. Yeah, that's spectacular. It's so good, but I don't know. I like Bert a lot. I can't stress that enough. It's just his stand up is just all right for me.
So that's my number 5. Your number 5?
My number 5 is maybe a bit known.
With your RGB monitor that you could see if you were watching this live.
Oh, that's my tower.
Oh, it's your computer just reflecting. Oh, that is.
Yeah,
okay, go on.
It's the lights on my computer changing. So my number 5 might be more known as like a roaster than a stand-up comedian, but a stand-up comedian is outstanding. Stand-up comedy is outstanding. And it's Anthony Jeselnik. Because he tells jokes like you're not supposed to laugh at. Like you are not supposed to like even joke about the things that he jokes about. Like one of my favorite jokes is the Anthony Jeselnik, like my girlfriend is now an atheist because she grew up in a strict Catholic home, and when she was 13, her parents nailed a crucifix above her bed, and then one night in the middle of the night, it fell off the wall and hit her dad in the back of the head. Like that is fucking hilarious. Like that is horrifyingly hilarious, and I can't. Like, and it's a lot of it is just like straight one-liners of like, you know, my ex-girlfriend owned a parakeet. That fucking thing would never shut up, but the bird was cool. Like it's all like just like one-liners like that that I find hilarious.
So the thing that I don't like about Jeselnik is, I guess there's 2 things. One of those things is that's all he does is he doesn't really have any jokes that aren't shock factor jokes. But what I find when I'm listening or watching to him, because I'll still listen to him, is that the entire time he's telling a joke, I'm just trying to figure out the punchline the entire time in my head instead of enjoying the joke. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, his girlfriend isn't a Catholic anymore. Why wouldn't she be a Catholic? And then I'm just focused on that the whole time, and I don't really listen to the joke he's telling.
Yeah, which I enjoy. I like even when you know, like there's another joke of his that I love that's horrendous. That's just who do you think was smarter, Jesus or Buddha? And I mean just in terms of not getting themselves crucified. Like,
right.
It's like Jesus Christ. But he will do stuff that other people are too chicken shit to do, and so for that.
But I think that he kind of quote unquote gets away with it because that's what he built his entire career on.
Well, there's that, and then also he can say, you know, it's a fucking joke. Like very clearly, I'm joking. Like he's got a kind of like a built-in shield almost of like, you can't joke about that. Like, well, I just did, and none of this is serious. Calm down. So he's my number 5.
Jeselnik is understandable. He's not really my cup of tea, but I like him. You
won't tear him down.
Well, I won't make you change the radio station if he's on like on XM comedy. I'll listen to him or whatever.
Yeah.
My number 4, very similar to Bert Kreischer. In fact, you've already mentioned him, is Tom Segura. So Tom Segura actually is that new one that I'm talking about that I kind of added to my list.
Gotcha.
So I'd listened to like one or two of his stand-ups a long time ago. But here's why I actually like him more than Bert Kreischer is I feel like Bert Kreischer's stories are really good. But Tom Segura's like more relatable stories. Like all of his jokes and stuff, like they're he was telling one of his jokes that I really like is he's like, I'm walking into the bank and there's a guy standing at the front door of the bank. He doesn't really work at the bank, but he's kind of there. And I walk in and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And he doesn't say anything. So I just keep walking in and I go and I reach for the handle and he says, I'm going to Virginia next week. And he turns and looks at me and said, are you talking to me right now? He goes, yeah, you asked me how I'm going. I had to think, you asked me how it's going. I had to think about it. And I'm going to Virginia next week. He's like, that's not really how this interaction goes, but cool. And he goes to open the door and goes, yeah, my sister lives there. He's like, oh. How long has she lived there? So he's forced into this conversation with this kid or this guy, and it slowly like dawns on him. He's like, is this guy just like a special hire? Like, is this kid just there because he needs a job? But his whole thing is just like, if you are the kind of psychopath that answers the question, how's it going with anything other than fine or great, then you deserve that. You're a giant piece of shit.
Yeah, no, and that's
true. Don't dump your emotional baggage on me for a polite social interaction. It's just probably super relatable.
I can probably count the times on my hand that I have said, good, how are you? And I really actually gave a fuck about what your response was.
Right.
Very, very rarely. Like, there is an unspoken, I say, hi, how are you? You say, good, how are you? I say, good. And then we awkwardly stare at each other for the next 13 to 18 seconds before saying, well, it's good to see you. And then we separate and go our separate ways.
Exactly. But he's got another one where he's like checking into a hotel. This is probably one of my favorite jokes of his. He's checking into a hotel and they ask for his last name. And if you don't know what Tom Segura looks like, he looks like just a normal, slightly overweight white. Yeah. Like, I don't know. He looks like Mad Dog to me whenever I see him.
I don't see that, but all right.
But he checks into the hotel and they're like, oh, what's your last name? And he goes, it's Segura. I go, oh, are you Japanese? And he looks at the guy and he's like, yeah, I'm Japanese. He goes, oh, we don't get a lot of Japanese people here. He's like, I'm not Japanese. He goes, oh, really? Your last name's Segura? He goes, yeah, that's not Japanese. And the guy behind the table goes, Segura. Segura. I don't know. Sounds Japanese. He's like, that's because you're saying it Japanese. I could say Smith, and you would think it's Japanese. But he's like, when I tell you this conversation has happened more than 4 times this year, I mean it.
I like Tom Segura, but for Tom Segura, I think like he has a couple of good podcasts. The Your Mom's House podcast is really funny. 2 Bears, 1 Cave is really funny. Where he's like Bert Kreischer is always happy and fun and go lucky, and then Tom Segura is like a bitter old man trapped inside a like 45-year-old's body. Like he just hates everything.
Tom Segura is just constantly shitting on Bert Kreischer,
and it's spectacular. When Bert's drinking 64 ounces of Kool-Aid,
yeah,
and they both like are laughing so hard they're crying. Mint. So that's your number 4.
That is my number 4.
My number 4, I think, might be on your list later.
Okay.
And when I like my top 5, like I could have went 10 deep, probably.
Yeah, so could I.
I've got
4 honorable mention without thinking about it.
If you're in my 5, you are creme de la creme. and he might deserve to be higher, but I got Bill Burr at number 4.
Okay.
I fucking adore Bill Burr because he isn't like, he is observational, but like almost in reverse. Like he makes you think about shit that you never really thought about, and it's hilarious. His whole joke about I don't want this whole podcast to be about jokes about controversial topics, but like his whole joke about abortion, where he's like, if you pull a cake out of the oven when it's got 35 minutes still left to cook, and I slapped it on the ground, you're like, that wasn't a cake. Well, it was gonna be.
If you'd have left it in there, it would have been.
That's not a baby. If you'd have left it in there, it would have been. Is hilarious.
Yeah, let's save the abortion talk for our sponsors.
Fair.
For our ad reads.
But like even like he was doing an interview with a TV station one time, and they took it umbrage with his jokes about the Catholic Church, and like, don't you think you took it a little too far? And don't you think the Catholic Church took it a little too far? Like he's not really afraid to like say like, and I think you almost get a pass if you say something that later you're like, oh shit, that was fucked up. When you just will say, oh, hey, you know what, that was kind of my bad. I probably shouldn't have. So he's not really afraid to go diving in head first to shit that nobody else wants to talk about. But he's got like a well thought out stance on whatever he's talking about, and I appreciate that about him.
Yeah, I agree. I like Bill Burr.
He's on the Manning cast tonight, so I kind of want to just like,
oh really?
Yeah, barrel through this thing because it's Vince Vaughn, President Obama, and Bill Burr. Like that's an okay list.
Yeah. So your number 4 is Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
My number 3, not Bill Burr. This is where. So my number 3 is John Mulaney. I love John Mulaney's stand-up on Netflix. Hasn't put anything out in a couple of years, but it's been a crazy couple of years for him. He is one that I really want to go see live and just haven't. I think I have the chance. He was in Fort Wayne. He was close to us like over the summer or something. But
he's in Columbus.
I think his tickets are expensive.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I have John Mulaney at number 3 as well.
Okay.
He's great.
Yeah, I don't know what. I can't tell you how many times because of him that I've like gotten on the jukebox app on your phone at a bar and played What's New Pussycat over and over and over again. Like there's multiple nights where I've spent like $50 on touch tunes, skipping other people's.
I couldn't remember what in the world it was called.
Skipping other people's songs at a B-dubs and just play next over and over and over again until they eventually just like shut down the touch tunes for a little bit.
Maybe this thing's broken. It's not.
Delete all of my songs off of it.
And then you slap it and it's not unusual.
Right.
It's not unusual.
And you just look around and see if anybody else gets the joke. And they do now.
Right.
Like he's gotten more popular. So people get what I'm doing now more than they did what I was doing at 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
But his last Netflix special, before, he weighed 105 pounds and had an intervention and because he was doing all the blow. But even his jokes about that are fucking hilarious, where he's like, we had these people on in my intervention for Zoom, and you might be thinking, if you cared that much about me, you'd be here and not on Zoom. And that's exactly what I said to him. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Like his cadence, his storytelling ability, off the charts, through the roof. Couldn't enjoy the man more.
So yeah, John Mulaney at 3. I'm hoping that he has another. He should have another special coming out soon, I assume.
Yeah, I imagine with his whole
Rehab and everything.
well, with his whole tour this summer, I'm sure somewhere they filmed something.
So my number 2, because we're on to number 2 already.
On to number 2s. Kid Gorgeous was the one I was thinking of. His Kid Gorgeous. There's a horse in the hospital. Fantastic.
My number 2, and this one kind of goes against what I said when I was like, "Oh, what have you done for me lately?" This one hasn't really done anything lately, as far as stand up goes, and it's pretty divisive because this person was such a huge part of my formative years that's really why they're on here, and it's Dane Cook.
Oh, okay. All right.
Dane Cook was our personality probably our freshman and sophomore years of high school.
Yeah. No, fair.
Everything that he did, we were the perfect age for him to come out and do a couple stand-up tours and release a couple CDs.
See, I feel like Dane Cook was the start of, at least maybe this went on longer than I know, and it just is when I became aware of it, that there are people who have a run there where they're the funniest person on the planet.
Yeah.
And Dane Cook had a year or two run where he was the funniest person on the planet, and we can go through. I mean, we can hash out who that Gabriel Iglesias was that person at one point, or Carlos Mencia was sort of in that same category for a long time, but he was the first one to that. I guess I realized that everybody is talking about. Everybody is talking about Dane Cook.
And I think he kind of, I think Family Guy made fun of him one episode where they're like, "Oh, look at me. I'm running and jumping all over the place and yelling and notice me." Oh, yeah.
Right,
I mean, he does do that, but he also is very funny. He really, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that he really started the Karen is the bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't think people know that. I have a dog.
That wants to be a part of this podcast.
Well, she wants to sit perfectly behind my chair where she can't be seen. Yeah, he had a whole thing on Karens and fucking, who was the male version of Karen? Brian. Fucking Brian's coming.
Brian's coming.
Everybody knows a Brian. And when you
Brian.
hear he's coming, fucking Brian.
Fucking Brian is coming. It's if you don't know Brian, you're fucking Brian.
Right. But he's. Do you remember when he told the Burger King story where he's you try and go to a Burger King and you can't understand what they're.
We have fucking technology. I can hear you. Pickles on my pickles. Sweet and sour sauce on my pussy. What? Pull around.
Get some sauce.
But it's that shit is still funny to me. There are people who it then became popular to shit on Dane Cook. Oh, he's $100 haircut. Oh, anybody can do that. What? They haven't.
Dane Cook is the Nickelback of stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
Everybody loved him in 2005, and then they heard too much of him. He was kind of too everywhere, and then they're "Oh, I don't like this anymore."
And then in 2022, Don is still willing to be you know what? Fuck it. I like Nickelback. I don't care if you hate them.
I do like Nickelback.
That's
and
fine.
I think I said it in 2020, and they're on a comeback tour.
They are. One of my favorite bands when I was a kid, which plays right into I like Creed. I liked Creed. I still kind of like Creed. It's okay.
Yeah, I like Creed.
Dane Cook's stand-up from 2004 to 2007 is still funny. Like, it's funny. How did Mary die? A tire hit her in the face.
Fucking face.
Like, it's still funny. It just would be.
Turn around in my I want to run out to that car that turns around in my driveway. Tell him, if you ever turn around in my driveway again, I'll cut your fucking head off. And I hope that they never turn around in that driveway again, because I'm going to be like, shit, I got to cut this guy's head off.
But, like, even the, like, because this is true. He tells that joke about, like, he sees a little girl with a vanilla ice cream cone and slap it out of her hand and stare right in her eyes and say, you remember this day forever. Because you know what? That fucking girl would remember that day forever. Like, holy shit. Some random man slapped an ice cream cone out of my hand and said, you remember this forever. And I did. It's funny. I like people who just shit on it just because it was popular piss me off.
Where do you go? Follow the one fucking road you're on to me. Where do you go? Okay, ma'am, you're gonna go to the Texaco station, take a right, go 5.5 miles southeast. You're gonna see a guy in a yellow poncho. His name is Hank. He'll take you to the Whopper lair. That's where you go. And you've got 10 minutes to get there, or we take your food.
Oh, we take your food. Somebody shit on the coats is hilarious. Somebody shit on the coats. It will forever be funny.
Like, and then you would just, in 2006, up through 2007, when we were in high school, didn't matter. We quoted him for 5 fucking years. But you'd go to a party. We'd go to a fucking New Year's Eve party, and somebody would just walk into the room and be like, somebody shit on the coats.
Shit on the coats.
And somebody that we were with didn't understand the reference. What?
It was horrified. Horrified.
But Dane Cook was amazing in 2004, 2005, and probably is the cause for a lot of how millennials act today. Like, I don't know.
Or
maybe I'm taking that a little bit.
Millennial humor.
Yeah. I mean, I know that he shaped my humor a lot.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm willing to say that I'm fine with that because it was funny. In a somewhat similar vein. And I guess I thought Bill Burr would be on your list, but my number 2 is Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle is in that same vein as Bill Burr, where he'll talk about shit that other people won't talk about, and he won't apologize for it. Like, people are like, oh, he's transphobic, and he's like, yeah, because them fuckers are weird. Okay, no apologies. But then also, like, he'll talk about things in a way that you've never thought about, and when I can, like, think about shit, but then also be like, you know what? That's actually, like, hilarious. Like, that's really funny. It's an appreciation that I don't think a lot of people can do Anthony Jeselnik jokes and be like, because for a while there, speaking of like, people would tell, like, dead baby jokes. Like, what's the difference between a dead baby and a watermelon? One's fun to hit with a sledgehammer and the other's a watermelon. Like, okay, that's fucked up, but all right. Like, anybody can tell those jokes. But Dave Chappelle and, like, the Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, John Mulaney, I guess, also kind of comedy where you're talking about shit that, like, relevant topics, but in a way nobody else has really thought about them or verbalized, is funny to me. And then, like, Dave Chappelle's work obviously is like a skit writer, unrivaled.
Yeah,
because the Chappelle Show is still fantastic TV. So I think Dave Chappelle and his, like, cultural relevance that has gone on for 20 years is ridiculous. And also, I guess I didn't realize at the time that Dave Chappelle was the stand-up comedian in The Nutty Professor.
I haven't watched Nutty Professor in 20 years. So
I watched it a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, wait a second, is that fucking Dave Chappelle? I'm like, yeah.
It's like watching Biodome and realizing that Tenacious D are the hippies that are doing like the massage circle playing acoustic guitars.
Hey,
It's you watch a Biodome and you're like, is that fucking Jack Black and Kyle Cass? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They're not credited in that movie either.
Well, maybe they don't deserve. But Dave Chappelle is my number dos, zwei, the only other languages that I know.
And by languages, you mean
count
to 10?
No, yeah, I was going to say the only other languages I know how to count to 2 in.
I can count to 10 in
French.
Un,
deux,
trois, deux, trois, un, deux, trois.
The only reason you know trois is because of Menage a Trois.
That's right. I think I can count to 10 in 4 languages.
2.
English,
Why?
Spanish. Do you need help with German to 10?
Oh, no, I can do German to 15 solidly. I can do.
Oh, yeah, you can, and then you can do 20. You can do like 100 in German because it's ein und zwanzig.
I can do Spanish to like 8, thanks to the Offspring. Uno, dos,
tres.
Cuatro,
Uno, dos,
cinco.
tres.
Oh, I can do to 5 easy. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis.
Right, and then 6 is seis, and then siete, ocho, nueve,
I was going to
diez.
say I can, yeah.
And then Japanese is ich, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, kuju. Thank you.
Did you learn that from
Karate.
Crunchy Roll and Pick a Hole?
No, I learned that from when we had to take karate for football senior year.
Wow.
Hey,
okay.
Thanks for the resub, Reese.
Hey!
With the Twitch Prime.
Subscribe for 16 months. Damn.
That's right. He's a real one.
Dedication.
So, honorable mentions.
Well, it's about that time, eh, chap?
About that time. You want to hit that magic button?
I think it's this one.
You get a free gift of Obi.
Oh, hey. All right, so sponsors.
We're back from our ad read break.
Man.
This next portion brought to you by Obi.
By Obi the dog.
That's right.
When you want dog, think Obi the dog.
Also, no step.
Oh, no step on snack.
So my honorable mention, real quick. Bill Burr, I've got on here.
Yep.
Nobody else was really mentioned that is on my honorable mention. So I've got I put Kevin Hart on there. He's the one that I took off for Burt Kreischer because Kevin Hart's kind of like, what have you done lately?
See, like Kevin Hart is in that same group of like Gabriel Iglesias, Carlos Mencia, like where
popular,
right?
And then
insanely popular, and then was like, okay, like Kevin Hart acting like Shaq when he falls down when he gets a rebound, and LeBron James stands up and is laughing so hard he can't control it. Is hilarious, and then it's just like, all right, if I got to see another fucking movie where Kevin Hart's with The Rock playing buddies, I can't do it. I can't. Like he's still funny. Like his joke about like that, where he's checking the mirrors and all that shit. And like, go. He's funny, but.
So I've got Kevin Hart, Daniel Tosh. Daniel Tosh is very funny. Only did a little bit of real stand up.
I had Daniel
Tosh,
but
it's very funny. He's one that I did go. I went to Columbus to see him perform.
Oh, nice.
He was my first comedian I ever went to.
You saw
it was right after LeBron left, so he had plenty of shit to talk about.
But it was Tosh on Ice, right? Like he was, for no reason.
I think it's just because it was over the winter. Eddie Murphy. I've got my honorable mention list. He had some really good stand up in the 80s and 90s. I don't know if he has anything newer or not.
Yeah.
Bill Burr I've got on here, and then I have Bo Burnham as well.
Okay, I have Bo Burnham as well, and I thought I figured there was going to be a chance to talk about this. Because I don't know that Bo Burnham is as much of a stand-up comedian as he is an entertainer.
Yeah.
And
I would agree.
And I don't know if he would be offended by that or not, but I think Bo Burnham is a genius.
Yeah. And we're of the age. I remember showing you Bo Burnham YouTube videos.
Yeah.
In college.
Like when YouTube was not $1 billion company.
Right. And then I I put like a little asterisk here. I kind of want to talk about like these TikTok comedians that came out because of COVID.
Okay.
Like, did you know who Theo Von was before
Yes.
a year ago?
Yes.
Okay.
But
I did not.
I like Theo Von a lot. Now,
Theo Von is very hit or miss with me. He's everywhere right now, and I don't particularly like that. I like him more in spurts.
His
like
stand up is funny.
I haven't watched it yet.
Like
I started it and then stopped it.
There's a stand up joke where he was like, like I grew up in a poor town in Louisiana, man. Like,
which is how every one of his jokes starts.
Well, but
go on.
But he says, so I had black friends and I had Native American friends, and you grow up and you don't hate one another. You learn to hate one another. And he's like, my black friends would be like, look at what you guys stole from us. He's like, stole from you? I live next fucking door in the same shit you do. Where the fuck do you think I'm hiding at if I stole it from you?
Do you want to split this plum or not?
That's hilarious. You want to go ahead on this plum or not?
Andrew Schultz is another one that you'll see on TikTok a little bit. He has a full stand-up on YouTube that I had Kiwan watch the other night because he was here in town this weekend, and it is hilarious. He is very kind of Anthony Jeselnik, but without the monotone on purpose.
There's a comedian named Shane Smith who is somewhat big on TikTok. He's got the ridiculous amounts of tattoos on his neck and the side of his face. I don't know if you.
The Mountain Dew guy.
Yes, I was gonna say, and he's like, my favorite joke of his is like he's got a 7-Eleven down from his apartment that he goes to all the time, and he's like, one day I walked in and the guy was like, "Oh, Mountain Dew guy." He's like, "Do you have any idea how much fucking Mountain Dew you got to drink to not be neck tattoo guy?"
Right.
And I think that's fucking hilarious. Like, that is funny. But there's a TikTok comedian, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he stutters. And
oh yeah.
He's really funny about the whole like I stutter and I gotta look. It's Drew Lynch. Drew Lynch is the kid's name, but he stutters and he's really funny. And I would have never been aware of him if it not had been for the talk.
Yeah, so there's another one on here. His name's Matt Rife. He'll be the last one I talk about. He's like a TikTok one. But most of his stuff on TikTok that you see is like audience members saying shit to him and him kind of making a 3-minute long TikTok of him kind of making fun of him.
Right.
I probably sent you the one where it's like this super drunk girl talking to him. But yeah, Matt Rife, he's pretty funny. You'll see him across TikTok a lot. What's your honorable mention, quick?
So I have Bo Burnham, Dane Cook, and then I had Robin Williams. There's a
Robin Williams. You're right.
There are a pair of Robin Williams jokes that are like legendary to me. That one he talks about, and I don't know that it's funny as much as it's just so energetic. But he talks about like who the fuck created the game of golf.
Yeah,
we're just gonna put this little ball. Oh, and the hole's right there. Fuck no, we're gonna put it 400 yards away. Oh, so it's just gonna be nice, easy. Like no, we're gonna put shit in the way. It's hilarious. And then there's another joke where he pretends that he's eating pussy, but he puts his like elbow in front of his face and what he looks like while he's doing it. They're fucking hilarious, and it's just a damn shame that he did what he did. But his stand-up is hilarious.
His story about like God creating the human body was also very, very funny.
Yes.
The fact that you can't find like his stand-ups anywhere is kind of disappointing. At least the last time I looked, I couldn't find them.
Yeah, I know. I used to rent them from the library back in the day because I thought they were so great. Mom, can we go to the library and rent the Robin Williams stand-up digital video disc? Great. Nothing says I've touched a vagina in person quite like that.
Exactly.
So number ones.
Right, so number ones. My number one was your number two. It's Dave Chappelle.
I figured as much.
He's never really gone out of style. Yeah. He went away for 10 years from 2006 to 2016. He kind of disappeared and wanted to go live a private life, so he did. And he would just randomly, some of the stuff you hear him say, or you hear about him, not him say, when he would he lives down near Cincinnati, Dayton area in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, I think it's the Funny Bone down there, and he would just randomly go there and do an hour stand up and then walk away. Wouldn't tell anybody he was doing it. He would just show up, do an hour set, and then leave. And you would hear him doing this every once in a while, and then Netflix threw a bunch of money at him, and it's like, hey, come do stand-ups. Well, shit. I can't turn down that Netflix money. But
I can't turn down that Netflix money.
There was a story that I saw. I think it was did they say it was during Dane Cook's?
Yes, where he was like, you know what? I don't usually do this. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. Come out and meet me. Let's do it.
Yeah. So
Dane Cook.
He wanted to do a set when Dane Cook was doing a stand up. They were like, you can have 10 minutes. That's it. You can't go over.
Right,
it's hard out of 10
minutes.
minutes.
It's Dane's night.
Right.
And he's like, fucking Dane's night. What the fuck you mean? It's Dane's night.
So he's like, so I went up there and I did my 10 minutes and I said, hey, if y'all want to come outside and smoke a cigarette with me and talk, we can do that. So the entire fucking audience went outside to smoke a cigarette with Dave Chappelle.
Is it Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer who are telling the story? I think
so.
And and Tom Segura is like, bro, this is when Chappelle's show is at its peak. That everybody in America is watching Chappelle's show, and he does 15 minutes, and is like, yeah, I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette out the front door. Come join me if you want. And the fucking plays a ghost town for Dane Cook.
Yeah. I mean, Dave Chappelle just kind of. I mean, we've talked about it.
He's still slapping.
I can't say a lot of the jokes that I Googled just.
I don't have the correct pigmentation to tell.
No, even the ones that don't have inappropriate language. So the one joke that always cracks me up if I think about it in my head is I live in a nice house. It ain't that nice, but it's too nice for me to be living there. It's I'm always afraid to call the cops. Because I call the cops and they say me living there, I might just get shot because I don't look like I belong in that house. It's let's sprinkle some crack on them and get out of here. That always cracked me up. And I mean, everything he did on Chappelle's show.
Everything.
So who is your number one?
It's sort of like a recurring theme here at this point, but I got Mitch Hedberg at number one.
Okay.
I fucking adore Mitch Hedberg, and he died in 2006 or whatever, and I still, I will follow Mitch Hedberg Twitter accounts because Mitch Hedberg would have been the most followed man on Twitter because that's all his stand-up is just fucking hilarious tweets before the damn thing existed.
Right.
Before Twitter existed, it was just Mitch Hedberg jokes. And there's just, there's so many great one-liner jokes. I love the, it's not even a one-liner, but the, they say the recipe for Sprite is lemon and lime, but there's more to it than that. Do you want some more homemade Sprite? Not till you figure out what the fuck else is in it. It's so stupid. My apartment is infested with koala bears. It's the cutest infestation ever. That's a dumb premise. Your apartment is not going to be infested with koala bears. What the fuck? But it's funny. It's just none of it is serious. None of it is mildly controversial, even at a time where now you can look back at jokes from 2005 and be like, ooh. There is none of that. It's all just stupid bullshit that at the end, it's to me, peak comedy of there's not a whole lot of thinking involved. They're my favorite sandwich is a club, and I'm not a member. What the? It's just it's stupid, but it's so funny that even the guys I just looked it up. He died in 2005, and I will pop in a CD that he made in 2003 or whatever and listen to it, and it's just still great no matter what. How many times I have listened to it, but two, like it doesn't go out of style, and I love like just the sheer amount of like, I'm sick of following my dreams. I'm gonna ask them where they're going. I'm gonna hook up with you later. It's stupid. Like, it's stupid. It's so stupid. But I think Bigfoot is blurry. That's the problem. There's a large out of focus monster roaming the countryside, and that's extra scary to me. Is like his like cadence and delivery is so distinct that you know exactly that you're listening to Mitch Hedberg, and it's just outstanding. And I think it's a damn shame that the dude died before he could become a monster superstar.
Yeah. Wait. I mean, I'm trying to like look up any of his jokes. Did he do?
Oh, okay. Like I used a Mitch Hedberg joke the other, like at the conference that I went to in New York, the escalator was broke, and I was like, escalator temporarily stairs.
Right.
You're welcome for the convenience. An escalator cannot break; it can only become stairs. Is one, like, who in the fuck is thinking that? But then two,
right.
It's true and it's hilarious. Escalator temporarily stairs. You're welcome for the convenience.
I saw a commercial for an above ground pool. It was 30 seconds long. You know why? Because that's the maximum amount of time that you can pick yourself having fun in an above ground pool.
I'm against picketing. I just don't know how to show it. That's fucking outstanding.
Imagine being killed by a bow and arrow. That would suck. An arrow killed you, they would never solve the crime. Look at that dead guy. Let's go that way. I used to do drugs. I still do,
but I used to.
But I used to too.
My friend asked me if I wanted a frozen banana. I said no, but I want a regular banana later, so yeah. It's so dumb. It's so fucking dumb. But there's a Twitter account that spits out Mitch Hedberg jokes every day, like Mitch Hedberg joke of the day, and I'm like, every fucking time, I think it's hilarious.
Rice is great when you're hungry and you want 2,000 of something.
Oh, God damn it. God damn it, that's hilarious.
Whenever I walk by and people try to hand me flyers, it's like they're saying, here, you throw this away.
My brother and I had that conversation when we got political ad through the mail the other day, and he's like, here, you throw this away. But it's true, God, it's just like, oh, it's so, so funny, and it continues to be funny.
Well, I think that is it for this episode of the Rankin Podcast.
Yes, sir.
You're going to have to talk because I can't hear the music.
Oh, okay. Well, Don is on Twitter. He's on
at Donnie _G.
and
Twitch.
And he's on Twitch at Donnie twitch.tv/Donnie _G. You can watch him kill all the people during the Call of Duties and all of those things. You can find the podcast. And if you could give us a 5-star review, we'll read your reviews no matter what you write in them on the show.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. If you could tell your friends about us, however you can help us out, we certainly appreciate it. We're also on all the social medias.
We're going to go watch Barack Obama talk to the Mannings.
That we are. I'm on Twitter at Garrett Seawright. We appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. And we'll catch you next time, right here on a Rankin Podcast. See ya.
Bye.